State Representative, District 92. We will also include District 90 with 92. We have a contested race in the Democratic Party for District 90, but incumbent Pam Stevenson is here tonight. Her opponent, Scott Hughes, is not. Oh, you are? Oh, well, we didn't know that. So, I tell you what, let's just have, let's have 90 by yourself, okay? Let's do 90 by yourself. We'll just do 92 first. Yeah, if you don't mind. There's too many people answering the same question. Let's see. Who would do? Oh, we're nothing if not flexible. If you would, just give me 1 second to regroup here. Okay, ladies. Incidentally, in case anybody's interested in the order that I'm calling on these candidates, I just went by for the first question, the way they are listed at the Board of Elections and voter registration on the official document. That's all I have to go by. So, we will first introduce ourselves, ladies, and the first one will be Ms. Anderson.
Good
1
evening.
minute.
Good evening. I am Tanya P. Anderson, and I am honored to serve as your state representative for House District 92. I'm a longtime resident of Georgia. I have prior experience in the political arena. I am a volunteer of many facets. One of the organizations that I volunteer for is CPPW, which is a CDC initiative for tobacco-free communities. Live Healthy Care Coalition. I am a minister, co-pastor at my church, and I am honored to be a part of this community and to bring forth confidence, to bring forth character, and to bring forth trust.
Thank you. Ms. Carter?
Good evening, Rockdale citizens. I tell you, the reason why I got in this race is because I really know how it is. Like you, I care about my family, I care about my community, and I care about the people that we have the opportunity to serve. We are at a critical junction. It's time for us to unify and come together. We have the opportunity to create a powerful community in the East Metro. We have to improve our education for our children. We have to address jobs. We must bring jobs to this area. And we have to have public safety. Those three denominators will give us the quality of life that we all deserve. And again, I know how it is every day to be able to take care of our kids, take care of our communities, walk with our seniors and our youth to ensure that they have the quality of life. And you'll get a legislator that understands.
Thank you. Ms. Harvey?
Good evening, Rockdale, and if the cab is in the house, good evening, the cab, because that represents the districts that I will represent. My name is Catherine Harvey, and I'm a lifetime Georgian. I'm a recent business owner, and I really lived in the Rockdale-Newton area for about 12 years. I was elected, and I'm presently serving my second 4-year term as a state committee member with the Democratic Party of Georgia. I'm in the 4th Congressional District. Now, in that capacity, I serve as the chairperson for candidate recruitment, candidate training, and I'm also a citizens lobbyist. And what that means is that during the General Assembly, downtown every year, January until about April, I am there. I'm right there. I'm holding press conferences. I'm rallying for issues that are important to the 4th Congressional District. I have an MS degree. I love law. I'm a political junkie. So I went back and I earned an MS degree in law and public policy. Now, I am experienced, I'm known, and I'm trusted as the voice of the people of Capitol each year.
Sorry. Ms. Washington?
Good evening. My name is Sherry Washington. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for having this forum, keeping us informed. Who am I? I'm a mother first. I'm a Christian. I'm a friend. I'm a community activist. I'm a business owner. I'm a practicing attorney. I've been practicing here since 2007. I'm licensed in Texas and DC. But most of all, I'm a servant. I've been servicing this community in numerous capacities, beginning with the Democratic Party, the NAACP. We've created a minority bar, the New Rock Legal Society. I'm a member of the Rockdale County Bar. All of these things I do so that I can serve you, and this is another level of service for me. I would like to serve you in the General Assembly. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Williams?
Good evening. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Doreen Williams, and that's a Williams because you have to distinguish between two Doreens who you've probably never met two in your whole life, but here we are together. I am an educator, and we have a crisis in our classrooms, which is why I am running. Students are arriving in the workplace, they're arriving into college without the skills that they need. They need the high-tech skills, they need knowledge, they do not need to know how to be taught to take a test. Education underscores everything that we do. It is the fabric that holds our society together. Our economic stability in the state of Georgia depends on our educational system, and that it works, and that it's funded, and that it's supported. With a Doctor of Education and 30 years of education experience, I am that person that can make that change that needs to be. Thank you. Dr. Doreen Williams.
Thank you. The first question, what is the greatest issue facing the General Assembly, and what is your solution? And Ms. Carter, we'll start with you.
What is this?
I'm sorry?
Your question was, what is the greatest issue facing the General Assembly?
Yes.
One of the biggest issues that I see in the General Assembly is they've forgotten why they went to serve. The whole point of being in the legislature is to serve you. We've seen laws that are passed that are contrary to increasing education and improving education for all children. We've seen policies that are contrary to serving the least of these. We are here to serve you. We have to take our state capital back. You need a strong voice. You need a strong advocate, and that's what you will get from Doreen Carter. We have to work together. but we have to work together, working for the people of the 92nd District.
Thank you. Ms. Harvey? And I'll be glad to repeat any question at any time.
You want to know what is
the greatest issue facing the General Assembly, and what is your solution?
okay, we have many issues facing, but you just want to know one of the issues, and that's our issue, transportation, economic development. Because until we get that all straightened out, we won't have effective school systems. We'll have to continue the discussion about charter schools. And then we may have to someday entertain vouchers, and we don't want it to get to that point. So economic transportation, those two words can be used interchangeably. Until we get that all straightened out, our school system is not going to survive either. Now, one way that we can do an economic development thing with our school system is to go back and revisit the HB 356, where it'll bring in, it allows for the collection of sales tax at the point of sales, and it'll allow the local governments to collect their own taxes as well as the state taxes, sales taxes, and so that we would eliminate the Department of Revenue. That is one area that we can bring in economic development.
Thank you. Ms. Washington?
The biggest issue in the General Assembly, in my estimation, is the fact that there are so many unfunded mandates that have been trickled down to the local government, and they're mandates that the state legislators are asking for us to pay just because they want to see certain goals accomplished, and we're having to levy additional taxes here on the local government, or our sheriff's departments and our county commissioners are having to find money fund these things that the state legislators have mandated that they do. I would like to work with our elected officials, and so that we can have a legislative forum, so that we can talk to you all to find out things that you all would like to see done, and not have so many unfunded mandates coming from the General Assembly.
Thank you. Ms. Williams? Yes. What is the greatest issue facing the General Assembly, and what is your solution?
There's a number of issues facing the General Assembly. Primarily, if we look at the economic development of our state, we've got to consider the role that education is playing in that. As I've gone out and talked to constituents, education is nearly always at the top of their concerns and of their list. Without fixing our education, we can't fix our economic stability. When companies in other states are looking to relocate, they want to know that there's a highly skilled, workforce, students that have opportunities for education that will benefit their businesses. We're at the bottom of the list nationally, and we've got to move our educational system up to the top. The other things will follow as we fix our educational system.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson?
I too would agree that economic development and education as well as transportation are those issues. The one that I will expound on is economic development. We have to position our state to bring businesses to our community so that our citizens can have jobs so that they can save their homes, and the jobs will also, the economic development will also help relieve the tax burden from the citizen. What I will do is I will fight for resources. I will fight for economic development. I will fight for our communities to be vibrant and have a quality of life. As a former municipal leader, I understand the needs of the community, and I do understand that in order to have a quality of life, we have to have economic development.
what is your position on T-Splost? And we will start with Ms. Williams. Oh, excuse me. Wait a minute. Yes, Ms. Williams.
T-Splosh is a really complicated issue. I think there's, I spent the last 2 weeks of the school year teaching my 7th graders. We discussed the pros and we discussed the cons about T-Splosh. I asked them to go home and talk with their parents to pay attention over the summer. Information is still coming in. I've attended a number of seminars about T-Splosh. There's no denying that we have got transportation issues and they need to be fixed. There's, I'm not exactly sure yet, and I'm still researching it. I'm not exactly convinced that T-Splosh is going to be the final solution, the final answer. There may be something else out there that will benefit us better, but certainly we've got to manage our transportation issues.
Thank you. Ms. Washington, what is your position on T-Splost?
At this juncture, I cannot say that I would support T-Splosh as it is written and presented to us. I do believe that Rockdale and the Eastern Corridor, District 92 will not be getting the best return on this investment. I have questions about who would be overseeing the money, how we would be ensured that we would get the things that we've been promised. I am not against a transportation referendum. I'm just not sure that this T-Splosh is what would be most beneficial to this corridor. So at this point, I would not be in support of the T-Splosh.
Thank you. Ms. Harvey, what is your position on T-Splost?
I do agree that we need to find a solution to untie the transportation knot, but I do not agree with supporting T-Splosh. There's just a lot of fine thread there. I'm representing DeKalb County, a portion of DeKalb County, and about 7 precincts here. When I speak with DeKalb County and I learn the history of what they've been through already, I certainly wouldn't want them to go through that again. They are now paying 1 penny, and with the T-Splosh, we're asking them to pay an additional penny. Well, they paid that 1 penny for 39, almost 40 years, and there were promises made to them that they never did get. So that's bad. So we pay the 1 cent. What is going to assure us, and since there's no governance behind all this money that's being collected, what is going to assure us that we're not getting duped again? That when we pay our penny tax, that ARC and all the powers that are in place deliver on what they promised us. I really believe that the answer to economic development is at the local.
Thank you. Ms. Carter?
Thank you. First of all, we have to understand that the T-Splosh, generally, is an economic development tool. And in our community, we must have economic development if we're going to have jobs to come to our community. However, the problem with this particular transportation referendum is the list. And unfortunately, the East Metro is not being served currently at the level that it needs to with this transportation list. Now, there are some other conversations that are being had at the ARC and with other transportation organizations, because we need to have rail, we need transportation here in Rockdale. I had someone that asked me, someone found a job, didn't have a car, how are they going to get there? Well, again, we need transportation. It's an economic development tool, but this particular list does not fit our needs. So I can currently not support the list, but I support transportation.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson, what is your position on T-Splost?
I believe that it would take good public policy and the input of the citizens in order for T-Splosh to work. I am open to options and exploring other opportunities that will benefit the citizens, but also open to opportunities to assist with other options that are already, other services that are already in place, so that our transportation system can work to the best for us.
Thank you. Now, each of you will have 2 minutes for closing, and we'll start with Ms. Washington.
It's hard for an attorney to sit down for too long. Once again, my name is Sherry Washington. I would like for you to remember that Washington will work for you. I will be willing to fight for our fair share of resources at the General Assembly. I will organize community development or community outreach programs. I will reach out to voters to get your input on ideas like the T-Splosh. I think there should have been a whole lot more public input on issues like the T-Splosh. And I will keep you informed on decisions that the General Assembly is making on a day-to-day basis. So remember, Washington works for you. Go to my website to learn more about me, electsherrywashington.com. And I look forward to serving you in the General Assembly in January.
Thank you. Ms. Harvey?
Again, I'm Kathy Harvey, and I want to say that I know that Georgia deserves better, and Georgia demands quality education for our children. We deserve a 21st century transportation system, not the way that it's on the board now. Jobs and quality health care for all Georgia families. And I've spoken to many individuals in District 92 who voiced their concerns about how our schools are falling apart, our teachers and our students are punished. And they're punished for the failings of the legislature that we have in place now. Our roads are gridlocked and families struggle to access quality health care. I am pursuing this newly created House District 92 seat because, again, Georgia deserves better. And at the State House, our legislators are spending too much time on backwards politics. I'll finish what I was saying earlier. A lot of our solution is at the local level. Our citizens right here in this county have solutions to our problems. And what I'd like to do is go to the House, and I would like to finish what I started since 2005, and that is the economic piece that I introduced to this community, where we would have bids, SIDs, and tags, so that we can take the burden off of our homeowners and put the burden where it should be. The burden should be on industrial and business owners, and I'd like to see that implemented in this county.
Thank you. Ms. Carter?
Thank you again for the opportunity to be here to speak with you this evening. District 92 needs a strong voice. You need an advocate. I'm a proven advocate. I've been fighting for education. I'm the legislative chair for the PTSA for my children's school. I've been fighting for business. I'm the president of the Greater Lithonia Chamber of Commerce. I worked on the task force for the Stonecrest Business Alliance, and I organized the organization, and we were successful in earning the LCI designation. These are tools that you'll use for economic development. You need a proven leader. I've recently earned my MBA in Kennesaw State University. I've also graduated from the Atlanta Regional Commission Regional Leadership Institute, so I understand the impact of having a strong education, transportation, and water if we're going to drive business to our community. You need someone that is tough and powerful, that'll take your voice to the Capitol and earn what you need and bring our unique goals to the Capitol and get that. One of the most successful things that I had an opportunity to do in my elected office was to negotiate with CSX Railroad. You know, they're a tough organization. I worked with the Georgia State DOT and successfully had safety devices installed on the main street in downtown Lithonia. That was not an easy feat. It took 3.5 years. So what I've proven is I stick to it, I do what I said, and I get the job done. Doreen Carter is the only choice for the 92nd District for the state legislature. Again, Doreen Carter will be an advocate for you.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson?
As your state representative for District 92, I am ready to hit the ground running. As prior experience as a mayor, former mayor and council member, serving as mayor pro tem, I have the experience, the resources, and the relationships to move this district forward. My slogan is Anderson for you, District 92. We're going to move forward toward opportunities with right leadership and you. Anderson for you, District 92.
Thank you. Ms. Williams?
Again, I am Dr. Doreen Williams, and running for office because we have a crisis in our classrooms. I am the only educator in the race. With this degree, doctorate degree, and my 30 years experience, one of the things that I have really fine-tuned is the skills of listening, critically thinking, and problem solving. Those are the skills that need to be taken to the legislature. Those are the skills that are used to solve any of the problems, and there are many. Those are the skills that our students need to be taught so that they make a skilled, thinking workforce when they go into the workforce. According to State School Superintendent Barge, we're turning out students who don't have those needed skills. So we've got to come back to our education issues. Again, those skills of critical thinking, problem solving, and listening are the skills needed to make a difference. Those are the skills used in representing Rockdale and DeKalb counties, the cities of Lithonia and Conyers, and speaking and advocating for them in the legislature. Again, Dr. Doreen Williams for District 92. Let's put an educator in the legislature.
I would like to say thank you to all of you folks that came out tonight. It's wonderful, this show of community interest. That's the only way we're going to have a community in which we're all happy to live. We all moved here for some reason, so let's keep it going. And your interest is greatly appreciated, and a pleasure for the League of Women Voters to have you as our guest this evening. Now, our next race is for State Representative District 90. Good evening. We have Scott Hughes and incumbent Pam Stevenson from District 90. And we will start with Mr. Hughes. You will have 1 minute introduction.
Good evening. My name is Scott Hughes, and I am running for Georgia State House of Representatives for District 90. Real short, real sweet. I'm a simple guy. I'm a working man. I can look out of my door and see the issues that are going on right outside of my house that made me want to run for office. I think that this position not only deals with the legal business of the state, but it also gives you a voice. What I want to do is be able to bring your voice to the decision-making table. I think that like-minded people who are serious about their community and serious about seeing things get better take action. That's the reason why my name is Scott Hughes, and I'm running for Georgia State House of Representatives, District 90.
Thank you. Ms. Stevenson?
Good evening. My name is Pam Stevenson, and first of all, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for allowing the citizens the opportunity to hear people that have held themselves out to run. I am actually running for re-election in House District 90, which was formerly 92, and it's my honor to have been on this stage before. I first ran in Rockdale County in 2002. And no matter what, if you don't have the courage to engage in every issue from the cradle to the grave, it doesn't matter what you have up here. It's your heart that gives you the political will to do what is right and what is just. I currently serve on the Judiciary Committees, the Health and Human Service, as well as the Intergovernmental Coordination Committee. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about me because it's not about me. It's actually about me listening to the people that I serve, and I will be prepared to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. First question for Ms. Stevenson. What is the greatest issue facing the General Assembly, and what is your solution?
The issues facing the General Assembly is multifaceted. One is a conduct issue, the other is a public policy issue. Conduct means that people sit and talk through issues, and you first have to understand, I read every bill, everyone knows that. Not only do I read them, I understand them. We talk through them, and then you have to have the courage to actually defend what the people sent you there to defend. You can't get in a room and you don't see anyone that's your constituents and forget why you're there. The other issues relate to education, of course, revenues. No one mentioned the appropriation, so it is very important that we understand the budget, how it works, the tax, that means the Ways and Means Committee, and we understand that the laws that we're getting ready to pass, and we have to have the courage of just saying no sometimes.
Thank you. Mr. Hughes? What is the greatest issue facing the General Assembly, and what is your solution?
I think that the biggest issue facing the General Assembly is that when we get up here, we forget what it's like to sit there. There are so many issues that are going on in our community right now where people will come every 2 years and they'll promise you they're going to do this, they're going to do that, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. And then when you leave here, you kind of feel like you've been sold a bill of goods. You've heard the same thing over and over and over and over again. And in your mind, you're thinking, wow, if all these people think the same way, why can't we get something done? To me, first thing you have to do is be able to agree. I know that sounds like a simple thing, but if I can just get my opponent or the other person on the other side of the table to agree that we can agree, then we got something to work from. That's the mindset that I'm going into this with. I have nothing negative to say about my opponent. I think she's an honorable woman in everything that she's done, so I'm not going back and forth with that. I'm just here to talk about what I can do and the mindset that I'm going into it with. That's my faith. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hughes, what is your specific plan to help gain agreement with your House colleagues in order to pass legislation that impacts your constituents?
First of all, just knowing what the constituents want. I wish it was just a black and white issue where there was only one right answer and one wrong answer, but it seems like anything that you do in the legislature, somebody's going to be affected negatively. So we have to do the greatest good for the greatest number of people that we can, and also look as far into the future as we can. What I said about finding a way to agree is paramount. Just agree that we can agree and we have something to start from. Secondly, what we're going to do is sit in exhaustive options. We're going to what if ourselves to death. What if this happened? Well, what if this happened? Well, why can't we try this? We can't think outside the box if we're always in the box. We have to really be able to think about new solutions and new ways to deal with things. Not only that, but we also spend a lot of time dealing with the crisis, putting out one fire after another instead of dealing with the precursors to crime. If you go into a restaurant and they don't say thank you or yes sir, or yes ma'am, then you feel like you're slighted by them. You don't go back to that restaurant. The restaurant loses business. They close down. The strip mall closes down. It starts with the little things.
Thank you. Ms. Stevenson?
The first thing, and I have to say because I am the chair of the Rockdale delegation, you have to know how to work with people, you have to understand everyone's needs, and you have to be able to leverage those needs. When the nutritional programs from the Rockdale schools are going to lose their money, and I have relationships with people on appropriations because I'm one of those people that have been tested. My record is out there. It is for 10 years. Anyone can check. So everything I say every 2 years, I live up to it. Pam Dickerson and I went to appropriations. We got that money restored. It's not the same party, but we have the same kind of good. And that's what you have to remember. You have to know how to talk to people and you leverage what you have, and that works. And it means sometimes taking the positions that may not be popular, but they're right and they're just, and we got the money back in Rockdale County Schools for the nutritional programs.
Thank you. And now each of you will have 2 minutes for closing, and we'll start with Ms. Stevenson.
Thank you. And it is a pleasure and an honor to be here. It's also a pleasure. And I have to thank my opponent because it is always great to have someone to rise up and say they're going to throw their hat in the ring for public service. It is in our state and in our districts. It is about where we are now. How do we put on the table those issues that are important for our constituency, and then take it to the Golden Dome and then act the same way in committee meetings. It is not as easy as people think. You can't just go down and say, because I thought this, oh, I'm a healthcare person. I want to make sure we change this and that. You have to build coalitions. I've done that. I do it every day, 40 days and 40 nights. It doesn't matter because we first have to understand the issues of which our constituents sent us. You have to close your eyes and know why you're there. And then you have to understand the public policy issues. I am seeking re-election as a public servant because it is important to me that quality of life issues start from the cradle all the way to the end. That is education, that is transportation, it is all the issues that our community needs. And if you don't understand the relationship between those issues and everything that you're fighting to do, you will then disappoint yourself and your constituents. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Hughes?
First, I just want to thank the League of Women Voters for inviting us out tonight to be able to share with you. I wish there was a way I could convey to you. I got a message to deliver, but I wish I could convey this message that you need to be on this stage. You need to have a seat at the decision-making table. What you will get with Scott Hughes is someone who will listen to the constituents and take your voice to the arena. I know it's not a popular thing all the time. I know that sometimes you're going to have to make tough choices, but that's what I'm willing to do. My name is Scott Hughes. I won't use all my time. I just need you to know that I will be there for you. I am interested in quality of life issues. I am interested in doing the right thing at the right time. I am a man of faith. I am a husband. I am a father. I have a center line that is God, and I never stray far from that center line. So if you want the truth, I believe your yes should mean yes and your no should be no. My name is Scott Hughes, and I'm running for Georgia State House, District 9. Thank you.
We could be here all night. Okay, our next one will be District 109.
I have a name, but I don't have a name tag.
This is Mr. Steve Davis. Okay, he's the incumbent. Dale Rutledge is his opponent, and Mr. Rutledge was out of town. So we'll just ask you the questions. And
I do have a name tag.
now we know who you are. You have 1 minute to introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Steve Davis. I live in Kellytown, Georgia, which is just over the Rockdale line in Henry County. Married, I have 3 children, 23, 17, and 15, 2 teenage girls, so pray for me. I'm a real estate broker by trade. I love college football and I love to play golf. I've been in the General Assembly now for 4 terms. I am up for my 5th term. I serve on 6 committees in the House. I am very busy down there. I serve as chair of the Audits Committee. I also serve as a secretary. I have 2 executive positions on committees. The secretary of the State Planning and Community Affairs Committee. Additionally, I serve on the State Properties Committee, the Transportation, Insurance, and of course the Appropriations Committee, which is the Budget Committee.
Good.
Can I just stand?
Huh?
I can just stand.
Don't stand, yeah. What do you see as the greatest issue facing the General Assembly, and what is your solution?
Well, thank you for the question, and by the way, thank you for having us out here tonight. The General Assembly addresses so many issues. I don't know that there's one particular issue that is the greatest issue. I mean, obviously, everyone talks about jobs and education, and that is a huge part of our position downtown. We have addressed that quite substantially this past session. We had a very, very productive session this year. We've passed tax reform, which basically really was a net tax cut for businesses in Georgia. It protected the family by increasing your deductions on your personal income tax for married couples in Georgia. We also eliminated the birthday tax, the hated ad valorem tax on cars. So we've had a very productive session this year, and I think we will continue to address these issues moving forward.
Good, thank you. What is your position on T-Splost?
I knew she was going to ask me that question, so I was prepared. My position individually is I don't support tax increases, period. However, as a red-blooded American, I do believe in the democratic process. T-Splost came through the Transportation Committee, for which I'm on. I feel like the suburban areas have been very undermanned at the regional area. I worked on amendments to this bill, and the bill was coming through, whether or not it had my vote or not. And we heard a lot of people talking tonight about local control. We established a local regional panel that had equal representation for even the small counties. Rockdale had the same representation as Gwinnett, and Rockdale had the same as Cobb, or Fulton, or DeKalb. So your representation picked your list. If you don't like the list, and I am not one of these, there's no plan B, guys. This is plan B. We spend $2 billion a year on transportation in Georgia. And transportation, there's never enough money, just like education.
Thank you. Now you have 2 minutes to close.
2 minutes to close. I am a state representative. I've been one for 8 years. I work very, very hard at my job. I'm passionate about issues. I'm passionate about education. I'm passionate about transportation. I follow the 3 C's, and it's Christian, conservative, and common sense. You cannot be a state representative if you're not present. He's not out of town. He didn't want to come tonight. He's never been to a Rockdale meeting. He's never been to a GOP meeting for you GOP folks. He's never been to a civic meeting. He's never been to a Newton meeting. He's never been to a Henry County meeting, which are also in this district. To represent, you have to be present. Okay? I've been here for this community already, even prior to representing it. I don't currently have it in my current district, but I'll have it in the new district. I was at the League of Women Voters redistricting meeting last in 2011. I was at the Rockdale Civic Association. I've been to GOP meetings. I've been to chamber meetings. And I will continue to be here for you and represent you. You have to be present to be a representative. Thank you.
Our next is State Representative District 113. Tony Collins, Pam Dickerson, incumbent, and Sharon Sawyer. Okay, we thought Ms. Sawyer would be here, but evidently she's been held up. To begin with, you will have 1 minute to introduce yourself, and we will start with Mr. Collins.
Good evening, Rockdale. My name is Tony Collins, and I'm running for re-election to the State House of Georgia. You might say re-election. I'm actually running to get my seat back and do the things that I can for the people of Rockdale and Newton County. Sometimes when you lose it all, sometimes it's good, because then you can see some of the things that you can do and that you didn't do. But my passion has always been about helping people. I love people. I love that people need to make sure that I'm going to make sure that we have good health care, and that we have good jobs, that people can know that Tony Collins is going to be there. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to have my health. I'm glad that things happen like it did, because now we can make something happen. I'm Tony Collins, and I'm going to work for you. I'm going to represent you. Tell me what you want, because that's the way we're going to need it. But what I've been seeing, what we need now, we need health care, we need jobs, we need opportunities for our kids to make sure that they have a better education, and our teachers are there to teach them.
Thank you. Tommy.
Okay, and that's it. We got a lot of other things we want to do. Thank you very much.
Okay, Ms. Dickerson.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for this forum. My name is Pam Dickerson, and I am your state representative in House District 113 at this time. I'm running for re-election, and I would like your support in my run for re-election. I would like to continue on the path of my success of the things that I have started and have completed here in District 113. Once again, I ask for your support. I'm Pam Dickerson. Thank you.
Thank you. First question. What do you feel is the greatest issue facing the Georgia General Assembly? And what would be your solution? Ms. Dickerson?
I heard that question asked before, and I thought about it. And as my colleagues would say, you have to be down there to really know what the issues are. Education, we see it's been cut. There's a lot of austerity cuts in education. And with the budget, I would really like to see more money put back in the budget for our education, because that is critical for any county, whether it's Rockdale, the counties that I will be representing. I had 3 counties which was with that. But at this time, I think that we need to put more money back in the budget for education so that we can educate our kids and we can have a better workforce.
Thank you. Mr. Collins?
I think one of the main things that is going to be facing the General Assembly is being a Democrat. Because right now the House is Republican, Senate is Republican, Governor is Republican. So being a Democrat, you have to vetoed by Governor Perdue. That's the main thing that I believe that is facing the General Assembly, is working together. You got to be able to work across the aisles and make bills pass. But if you get down to the voters and what we need here, we need to make sure that our education with our schools are done, to make sure that we have the infrastructure within our children to involve, to move towards what we need economically throughout our county. Without a good workforce, an educated workforce, we're going bad already. So we got to make sure that our students are well prepared.
Thank you. Second question, Mr. Collins, will be for you first. What solution do you have to curb lobbyist influence on legislation?
One of the things is that we got to stop taking their money. That's the first thing. After that, we got to make sure that we do what the people want us to do without worrying about what's coming in our pocket. And I've been like that. I've been running my race almost with no money sometimes, but I get out there and I do what I got to do. My last time when I ran, a lot of things happened personally in my life. I don't think I'm not going to want to do it, but the first time I ran, I won about 70% of the vote. So that's one thing we got to stop doing for us as lobbyists, is stop taking their money. The more money we take from them, the more we're going to be corrupt. More fraud going to be coming on. So that's the first thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Dickerson, what solution do you have to curb lobbyist influence on legislation?
At this time, being in the General Assembly, I have not encountered any influence from any lobbyists. I think that's an individual thing. We have to understand what it is that's being given to us, first of all, and we have to understand how we're going to accept it. So there's no solutions. I think that there needs to be some more laws put in place, first of all, before we can talk about solutions in terms of lobbying giving to us.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Dickerson, you'll be first with your 2-minute closing.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking for your support in this election cycle in House District 113. You talk about working across the aisles. I did have a bill passed out of the House unanimously. House Bill 681. It was a constituent-based bill that came to me, and that bill was passed out of the House. It was passed out of Senate committee, and it was held up in rules, but I do plan to continue working on that bill next year. I also had a cyberbullying bill that I introduced. It got support from both sides of the House as well. That bill I've taken on the road because our children are being maliciously portrayed on websites that they shouldn't be on. I was portrayed on one myself. At this time, I'm partnering with Bartlett and Associates, and we're taking that on the road to all the schools so that our kids can have a better quality of life and they're not affected by cyberbullying. As my colleague stated today, we were able to get things done in Rockdale County. We did have monies put back in our budget for our nutritionists, and I'm looking forward to continue to do the things that I have started, and I ask for your support and your vote July 13th. And I am the incumbent in House District 113 at this time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank the Women League of Voters for inviting me and inviting everyone else here and all the people that came out. That means that you are very concerned about who you're going to represent. Well, again, my name is Tony Collins, and I'm seeking re-election back to the House of Representatives. And I want to let you know that some of the things that I will be working on has been something that's been real close to my heart, and that's healthcare. And I know that we have the things that we have in the bill, the Rockdale bill that they're trying to take out of Georgia, but I think we should have our own regional healthcare. I think if they have a regional, if they have a tax splash, I think we should think about a health splash for our area, or school splash for our area. So I am working hard to make sure that our health care for our seniors, for our kids, that they will get that. Because without health, economic development would not happen. can't go to work, you're not going to have a good economy. So again, I'm thinking about, of course, bills being passed. There's a lot of things that I want to do to help. And I'm not going to talk about my opponent here that's seeking House also about her bill that she had about imposing somebody head on somebody. I'm not going to talk about that. But I will say that the bills that I will pass, will try to get passed along with colleagues, my local officials, my commissioners, working with them, it will affect the local areas of this place, whether it's recreational for health, recreational for kids, health care for seniors, whether it's roads being built, whether it's being parks that they need to have, pools that they need to have for little kids. I'm going to work hard to make sure that happens. I'm a passionate person. I'm not a big talker, but I love people, and I want to make sure that they get what they deserve when they tax dollars. My name is Tony Collins, and I'm seeking re-election to the State Representative 113. Thank you very much.
Next, we will have State Representative, District 114. That is Tom Kirby, incumbent, and Rod Upton. Okay, we'll start with Mr. Kirby. You have 1 minute introduction.
Thank you, Jean. My name is Tom Kirby, and I'm running for re-election for District 114. As a way of introduction, my wife Rosemary is here with me tonight. We've been married for almost 22 years. We have 3 daughters, Courtney, Leslie, and Peyton. We are active members of the Church at the Grove in Walnut Grove, Georgia. I'm a graduate of the Leadership Walton program, past president of the Leadership Walton Alumni Association, served on the board of the Chamber of Commerce, vice chairman for economic development, and chairman of the board of the Walton Career Academy. I'm a graduate of the University of Kentucky with a degree in agriculture economics. I spent the last 20 plus years in industry dealing with human resources, environmental health and safety in every alphabet agency in the government. And I look forward to serving the people of Rockdale County in what is now new District 114. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Upton?
My name is Rodney Upton. I am running for Georgia House District 114. I am a Rockdale County resident. I've been here for 16 years. I am married. I have 6 children, if you believe that. My wife and I, they're all hers, they're all mine. It's not a Brady Bunch scenario. We've been married for 14 years, and she's a lifelong resident of Rockdale County, for which I'm very thankful politically. I'm a business owner. I've been a business owner now for 5 years here in Rockdale County, and in spite of what the the current presidential administration says, the private sector is not doing well. And that's one of the issues that I think I can bring to the table as a business owner. I believe in strengthening our families, I believe in freedom, and I believe in fiscal responsibility. Remember Upton when you vote July 31st. Thank you.
Thank you. First question. What is the greatest issue facing the General Assembly, and what is your solution? Mr. Upton?
Well, when this question was asked earlier, I was mulling it over in my head, just thinking about issues really that affect the voter, you. I think that the biggest issue that the General Assembly faces is a lot more transparency with you, the voter, you, the taxpayer. And I don't know about you, but I get fed up with politicians who go off to the General Assembly, they do their job, they come back home and they tell you, hey, we didn't raise your taxes, but they raised a whole bunch of fees. And so they're calling these things fees that are actually taxes. So one of the things that I want to, and I'm going to make as a promise to you, if a tax gets raised in the name of a fee, I'm going to call it a tax. Thank you.
besides the Senate, right? But no, seriously, the greatest issue facing the General Assembly, for the 40 days of the legislative body, constitutionally we have one responsibility, and that's to pass the budget. And our greatest issue is how do we deal with the revenue we have coming in? How do we maximize the use for the revenue, make sure we're spending your money wisely? We've talked about a lot of different things, whether it's economic development, transportation, education, all these things that fall under the responsibility of the General Assembly, but it all comes down to money. How do we manage the money of you, the people who have put us in this position of trust? Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Cuts in state funding have led to elimination of music and art in many schools. What is your opinion of this situation? Mr. Upton?
Repeat the question again.
Cuts in state funding have led to the elimination of music and art in many schools. What is your opinion of this situation?
Well, as far as my opinion of the situation, I think it's sad that we have to make a whole bunch of cuts that are really a byproduct of lack of revenue coming in at the state level because we have a presidential administration that doesn't know how to create jobs, doesn't know how to create an environment that can help us here in the state of Georgia to create more jobs. We don't really have a revenue issue in terms of needing to create new taxes. We're stuck with this type of problem of needing to create new taxes, needing to create new fees, only because we have an administration on a federal level that doesn't know how to create an environment that makes it easier for business to grow here in the state of Georgia, for people to get back to work so that they can contribute to the tax base. The problem is not that we're having to cut these things. The problem is that people are not able to contribute enough in terms of taxation, and we're stuck with this type of problem. This is a byproduct of a lot bigger problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kirby?
Repeat how that question.
Yes. Cuts in state funding have led to the elimination of music and art in many schools. What is your opinion of this situation?
All right, thank you, Dean. The first thing, my opinion, is that it's very disappointing. Music and art are an important part of our children's education and should be available for those students at all times. It's no different than math, reading, and writing, and the sports and everything else that kids enjoy. We want a full, well-rounded education program. The cuts in state spending also then, remember this, your school board, whether it's Rockdale County or Walton County or Barrow County or any other school in this state, does not want the state coming in and telling them what to do, how to run their schools. That's not our role. What we have today is QBE, or Quality Basic Education Funding Formula. We've got to live up to our commitment. That's the first thing. Again, we go back to that last question, how we manage the money and then make our commitment to our children and live up to that commitment. That's what we've got to do, and manage the state's money wisely to make sure we're prioritizing our spending on those things that are most important. And quality education is a big part of that. Our children deserve nothing less. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, each of you will have 2 minutes for closing, and I apologize, I got out of order a little bit, but we'll ask Mr. Upton to be the first to close.
Well, I would like to close with a very simple observation, something that I made, and I think I've actually used this in other speaking events before. One of the greatest things about the political process here in America and locally here in the state of Georgia is that anybody can run for political office. One of the worst things about our current political process here in America, here in the state of Georgia, is that anybody can run for political office, and that can be scary at times. Hopefully you will not look at me as just anybody, but somebody that you can trust locally, somebody that you can see that you will trust to make legislative decisions that will affect you and your daily living. Go to my website, electupton.com, find out whether or not I'm truly worthy of your vote. Remember Upton, July 31st. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kirby?
Thank you, Gene. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for inviting us tonight, and I want to thank all of you for coming. I am Tom Kirby. I'm running for re-election conservative constitutionalist, and I stand firmly on the vision our founding fathers had for this republic. Less government and fiscal responsibility are two areas that I stand very firmly on and will not waver. And when we talk about less government, smaller government, it begins with being closer to you, to be available and accessible to you, to be responsive to your needs. As your representative, I'm your advocate with state government. If you've got a problem, you call me, not some bureaucrat in Atlanta. That's the last thing you need to do. I'm here to represent you and represent all of you in state government. To be fiscally responsible is not just about balancing the budget. We have a constitutional requirement for that. It is living up to the commitments, just like you and I do every day in paying our bills. The commitment we make to our children in education, those commitments that we make to the seniors, commitments we make to the citizens in Georgia to make sure that we abide by that. On March 6th this year, when I won the special election, there was a very telling event about 5 minutes before the polls closed. I was out on a corner waving at voters as they went by, and there was a stoplight, and an elderly lady pulled up, and she simply rolled down her window, got my attention, and said, "Mr. Kirby, please don't let us down." Those words guide me every day. I won't let you down. I'm Tom Kirby. I'm running for re-election. I ask you to check out my website, electtomkirby.com. I ask for your vote on July 31st. Thank you.
Thank you both very much.
But no, seriously, the greatest issue facing the General Assembly, for the 40 days of the legislative body, constitutionally we have one responsibility, and that's to pass the budget. And our greatest issue is how do we deal with the revenue we have coming in? How do we maximize the use for the revenue, make sure we're spending your money wisely? We've talked about a lot of different things, whether it's economic development, transportation, education, all these things that fall under the responsibility of the General Assembly, but it all comes down to money. How do we manage the money of you, the people who have put us in this position of trust? Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. Cuts in state funding have led to elimination of music and art in many schools. What is your opinion of this situation? Ms. Upton?
Repeat the question again.
Cuts in state funding have led to the elimination of music and art in many schools. What is your opinion of this situation?
Well, as far as my opinion of the situation, I think it's sad that we have to make a whole bunch of cuts that are really a byproduct of lack of revenue coming in at the state level because we have a presidential administration that doesn't know how to create jobs, doesn't know how to create an environment that can help us here in the state of Georgia to create more jobs. We don't really have a revenue issue in terms of needing to create new taxes. We're stuck with this type of problem of needing to create new taxes, needing to create new fees, only because we have an administration on a federal level that doesn't know how to create an environment that makes it easier for businesses to grow here in the state of Georgia, for people to get back to work so that they can contribute to the tax base. The problem is not that we're having to cut these things. The problem is that people are not able to contribute enough in terms of taxation, and we're stuck with this type of problem. This is a byproduct of a lot bigger problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kirby?
Repeat how that question.
Yes. Cuts in state funding have led to the elimination of music and art in many schools. What is your opinion of this situation?
All right, thank you, Dean. The first thing, in my opinion, is that it's very disappointing. Music and art are an important part of our children's education and should be available for those students at all times. It's no different than math, reading, and writing, and the sports and everything else that kids enjoy. We want a full, well-rounded education program. The cuts in state spending also then, remember this, your school board, whether it's Rockdale County or Walton County or Barrow County or any other school in this state, does not want the state coming in and telling them what to do, how to run their schools. That's not our role. What we have today is QBE, or Quality Basic Education Funding Formula. We've got to live up to our commitment. That's the first thing. Again, we go back to that last question. How we manage the
2 minutes for closing. And I apologize, I got out of order a little bit. But we'll ask Mr. Upton to be the first to close.
Well, I would like to close with a very simple observation, something that I made, and I think I've actually used this in other speaking events before. One of the greatest things about the political process here in America and locally here in the state of Georgia is that anybody can run for political office. One of the worst things about our current political process here in America, here in the state of Georgia, is that anybody can run for political office, and that can be scary at times. Hopefully you will not look at me as just anybody, but somebody that you can trust locally, somebody that you can see that you will trust to make legislative decisions that will affect you and your daily living. Go to my website, electupton.com, find out whether or not I'm truly worthy of your vote. Remember Upton, July 31st. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kirby?
Thank you, Jean. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for inviting us tonight, and I want to thank all of you for coming. I am Tom Kirby. I am running for re-election in District 114. I am a conservative constitutionalist, and I stand firmly on the vision our founding fathers had for this republic. Less government and fiscal responsibility are two areas that I stand very firmly on and will not waver. And when we talk about less government, smaller government, it begins with being closer to you, to be available and accessible to you, to be responsive to your needs. As your representative, I'm your advocate with state government. If you've got a problem, you call me, not some bureaucrat in Atlanta. That's the last thing you need to do. I'm here to represent you and represent all of you in state government. To be fiscally responsible is not just about balancing the budget. We have a constitutional requirement for that. It is living up to the commitments, just like you and I do every day in paying our bills. The commitment we make to our children in education, those commitments that we make to the seniors, commitments we make to the citizens in Georgia to make sure that we abide by that. On March 6th this year, when I won the special election, there was a very telling event about 5 minutes before the polls closed. I was out on the corner waving at voters as they went by, and there was a stoplight, and an elderly lady pulled up, and she simply rolled down her window, got my attention, and said, "Mr. Kirby, please don't let us down." Those words guide me every day. I won't let you down. I'm Tom Kirby. I'm running for re-election. Actually, check out my website, electtomkirby.com. I ask for your vote on July 31st.